How woke is the United States? Well, not so much if we look at the recent headlines. The country continues with its crackdown on autonomy, on what women want to do with their own bodies. And now it wants to go a step further. It wants to control awareness and knowledge about female bodies as well. I'm talking about what's happening in Florida. The Republicans have proposed a bill. They seek to ban discussion of menstrual cycles and other human sexuality topics in elementary grades. In fact, the bill has already cleared the House Education Quality Subcommittee by 13 votes to 5. And if it is indeed passed, children below the 6th grade will not have any access to information around menstruation, instruction on human sexuality, sexually transmitted diseases and related topics have been restricted to grades 6 through 12. Basically, all the so-called taboo topics would be censored in elementary schools. Teachers will be required to teach that a person's sexual identity is determined at birth, and that's not all. The legislation would also hand more control to parents. They would be able to object to books children read as a part of their curriculum. Educational materials will be closely scrutinized by the State Department of Education. What really is the point of this bill, you wonder? And how is it practical? In the United States, a girl gets her first period when she is around 12 years old, but some start menstruating as early as 10 years old. Can you imagine a 4th grader going to the washroom and seeing blood with no knowledge of what's happening? With no access to sanitary napkins? With no freedom to even discuss this with her teachers? Just how helpless would she feel? Would you want this for your daughter? And this is just one of the things wrong about this bill, by the way. Another one is restriction on sex education. According to a Reuters report, 1 in 13 American boys lose their virginity before turning 13. And this accounts for up to 8% of the males in the country, 8%. So is the US really in a position to delay sex education? Should parents and educators wait till high school to teach the children about safe sex or even sexuality for that matter? Gender identity and recognition typically begin when a child is 2 to 4 years old. So why should teachers be obligated to teach the students that sex is assigned at birth? What about children who are transgender or non-binary? What about those who suffer from gender dysphoria? They already face confusion regarding their sex. And now imagine a person of authority negating their confusion. Why? Because the laws require them to do so. Planned Parenthood has described the new bill. It says the legislation gives reductive and binary view of sex and stigmatizes LGBTQ students. It has lashed out at the bill, but Republicans are trying hard to impose their conservatism. Have a look at this headline. 2 days ago, Wyoming became the first US state to ban abortion pills. Anyone found buying the abortion pills would be sentenced up to 6 months in jail and would be fined for $9,000. The law is scheduled to take effect on the 1st of July. Meanwhile, Texas is expected to rule whether mifepristone abortion pill should be sold in the US, and the ruling could curtail access to the drug nationwide. South Carolina is taking extreme measures. The state has proposed a bill that would make abortion punishable by death penalty. South Carolina Prenatal Equal Protection Act of 2023 was introduced late last month. It says that getting an abortion is the same as committing homicide, and those found guilty would be sentenced to 30 years in prison, up to the death penalty. The bill was pre-filed in December and it now sits in the Judiciary Committee. South Carolina currently punishes abortion with up to 2 years in prison and a fine of up to $1,000. What does all of this mean? That a fertilized egg, an embryo or fetus is more valuable than a grown woman? What really is happening in the US? First, abortion gets criminalized. States pass a raft of laws taking choices away from women over their own bodies. And now the youth is at risk as well. If Florida does go ahead with this bill, little girls will not be prepared for their first period. Gender norms would be forced on adolescents. Thousands will not have access to basic sex education. So coming back to what I asked you right at the beginning of the story, how woke exactly is the United States? And what else will it target next? WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.